up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Switch Talk, the perfectly pocket-sized podcast where we cover the latest and greatest games that have come to this hybrid console that has stolen our hearts and minds, the Nintendo Switch. I think it's about time that we cover a $5 holler episode, the smaller games that come in at that perfect, oh-so-sweet lunch money price point, and test some of them out. There's going to be a deluge, if you will, an influx, an overwhelming surge of games, if you believe the latest Nintendo shareholder news, coming to the Switch. So you're going to need somebody to help sort through the mess. So these $5 holler episodes should be coming to you fairly regularly. I want to thank my illustrious co-host, Clay Howard, who came up with the idea originally. And I want to toss it to him first as we go around the table and explain what game we played for $5 price point and what we thought about it. Clay Howard, sir, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. All right, so to start us off, I'm going to get my timer going here so I get my 10 minutes in. All right, the game I decided to talk about is a little game called Pirate Pop Plus. And it is for the Nintendo Switch, obviously. Originally a $4.99 game when it released. I bought it day one. It is actually currently on sale as of the time that we're recording this. I don't know how much longer it'll be on sale for $2.99. So you can actually get it for $3. So even less than the $5 that was asked originally of you. The reason I initially jumped straight into this game, two reasons. One, it has to do with pirates, so immediately right off the bat, I'm totally on board. Secondly, are indeed. Secondly, it was published by 13 AM Games, who are the people who brought us the amazing game Runbow, which, if you've listened to the show before, you've heard me talk about, because I love that game, and it's amazing. So, pretty much day one, I was like, yeah, I need to go get it, and it was, like, really cheap, so why not? It's actually developed by a small indie studio called Dadako, Dadako, which, as far as what I'm reading here, is a core group of 3 guys that are putting out games. I believe this is their first Switch game, but don't quote me on that. They've put out about 6 other games, but as far as I can tell, this is currently the only one. So, at least for consoles. Anyways, so this game is a retro-style arcade action game. And so if you look at some footage of this, you'll see right away, if you're watching on YouTube, it's super Game Boy looking. Single color palette with like 3 different, pixel shades as far as like, your visual options you get. But this game is super customizable, and it's kind of cool, actually. The overall game mechanic and the playing itself is is very simple. There's not a lot to it. If you heard me mention, it's kind of an arcade style, so it's a very simple premise where you are essentially going for high scores, as well as trying to collect coins that you accrue over time to unlock additional customization things. So on the game itself, you actually see the D-pad and the action button of what looks to be some sort of, made-up portable system. It's this pocket game, basically. And so, and then in the center, you have your actual game. So it kind of creates this whole handheld experience type option that you play it. And then, like I said, as you get coins, you have the ability to change the color of the pocket game. You can change the backlight color options on the screen. You can purchase new characters. There's like all kinds of different stuff that you can unlock, which I think for a game that is relatively this simple, it's good to have it. So yeah, you have backlight, there's different music, different colored borders, different decal like stickers that you can put on your pocket game, including some Runbow stickers, which I thought was cool. Like I said, characters, you can change the D-pad color, you can change your button color, and the faceplate. So I thought that was a fun option. It keeps you coming back to get more coins to unlock different options and things. Let me talk about the core gameplay real quick. Basically, you get dropped into this square area, and you're the main character of this game is a pirate named Pete Jr., and he's on his way to defeat the nefarious Bubble Pirate, who's an evil villain who has trapped a bunch of innocent townsfolk in bubbles. And so it's your job to dodge and pop bubbles with your anchor while collecting power-ups and basically, using the power-ups and avoiding these bubbles to, keep getting a higher score. And so really super simple controls. You move around with the D-pad or joystick, and then you press A to disperse your anchor, which is tied to a chain, as most anchors are. And basically your character throws it up in the air. Once it connects with either a bubble or the opposite side of the area you're in, you can then throw it again. So you can't just like keep mashing it. You have to wait for it to hit something. But basically you use that anchor and you hit the bubbles, and the big bubbles, once you pop them, they turn into smaller bubbles, which you then pop again and they turn into an even smaller bubble. And so all the while you're doing that, you're collecting different foods and like cherries and meats that give you extra points. It's very arcade, like Pac-Man style. But then every now and then the Bubble Pirate will come back and he will activate these magnets that are on all four corners of the arena. And so at that point you basically switch. You'll like either go upside down or you'll be stuck on the left side or the right side. And so you have to dodge those bubbles as everything shifts to a different side. And then you play, according to what side you're on. And as far as I've played, that's really the essential. Yeah, as far as you just go, you have 3 hits, 3 hearts they give you. Throughout the game, you can collect more hearts to keep yourself alive, and you just keep going as long as you can. I think the backgrounds change as you go throughout, and there's some different backgrounds that change to and there's it pops up different levels, so I assume the difficulty ramps up as you go. When you're playing, there are 2 options. There's let me get the terminology right on there's normal mode and there's hyper mode. Now hyper mode costs 25 coins to even be able to play, but when you're playing that mode, you get double points the whole time you're playing. So you end up having to spend your money, but more likely that you could get a high score easier, I guess. And so I think that's more or less it in a nutshell. Basically, I like the game. It's a little simple. I wish there was a little more variety. But I think what they do well. And for the price point, $3, it's a really good sit down. You've got 5 minutes, play around of it. And just, there's a bunch of different items that you can select from, like 2-time shot. You can freeze everything. There's a heart, there's a shield, reverse, which is actually a bad power-up that makes your controls get reversed. And then there's like a clamp that, sticks to the opposing side or whatever. But yeah, it's a nice short, fun little thing to pick up for 5 minutes and then put back down. I think if you're a fan of Game Boy games, or just old portable games in general, I think this is a really cool kind of throwback homage to those types of games, which was actually one of the other reasons I wanted to pick this game up right away. Is there's becoming more of ththese on the Switch, where there's these like Game Boy style games with art, and even the music in this game is very chiptune and actually really quite catchy, I would say. I was listening to it today as I was capturing some audio for the episode, and I like the music in this. Actually, they did a really good job with they took the chiptune thing and kind of took it to a more modern stage. So I thought it was actually really cool. Guys, any questions for me on this game?
I think that's most appealing to me is these games that put that that faux retro game controller on the outside to reframe the screen. So I think that's cool. And then of course you were talking about how you can spend the currency and customize these things, which is great. And I just feel like from what you're describing, and I wasn't able to preview before to see it in action, but I am looking at images. It does seem like they're doing a lot with the little real estate, the little box that they put themselves in. So are you constantly moving around the square and you're not really traversing? Like your movement, it's one button, and the one button's the anchor. There is no jump. Is that right? You're just
correct,
moving left and right, and then sometimes on the walls.
Right. I think
pretty
every now and then, yeah, he comes in and he flips what side you're on. So, but yeah, that's really it. I mean, you're just in one area. Like I said, the background changes enough to make it feel like, you're not in the same space the entire game. I think they purposely did that just so it felt like you weren't seeing the same background the entire time. But yeah, I think the changing of, at one point you're on the ceiling basically, or one time you're on the wall, and so it was a little jarring at first, but really it's not too terribly difficult to adapt to it. So
the idea of
yeah.
the retro inspired games and demakes and things like that, kind of it really appeals to me. Like you said, that nostalgia factor would be great. Like if you were to recommend a game to me that was around the $3, $5 price point that was completely modern like this but Game Boy inspired, I would definitely give it a try. So this has definitely actually piqued my interest for something that I really wouldn't expect, because Shovel Knight's one thing and that's obviously a level above, but I haven't seen many, at least me, games in this style created recently. Again, you take one glance at it, and if you were to tell me that this was a game that was already on the actual Game Boy and like re-released or ported or whatever you want to call it, I'd believe you. But this is like, you could tell like there's some care being put into this. I think that's what we're looking for in these $5 games, you know what I mean? If we're gonna find a diamond in the rough or whatever you want to call it. That's an Aladdin reference.
I did have one question, Clay.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, excuse me, you mentioned that the currency sort of unlocks, different sort of retro Game Boy style backgrounds and for it. Is that the only point of the currency and the unlockables? Is there a ton of other content, or is it kind of mainly just those?
Yeah, like I said, you have those things, and then there's the what is it? The hyper mode where it costs 25 coins every time you play it. And that gives you double points to play in that mode. And so between those two, cabinet. I guess the only other thing worth mentioning, there are different characters who have different ability or like strengths and stuff. Like they have some have more health, and then there's SP and PT, which I guess I don't know what that means. But I would assume these guys would give you a different play experience. And I haven't played with them yet. One of them is the villain from Runbow, which is kind of cool. But so I assume that these different characters would provide a different sort of experience, at least maybe slightly. So that would at least be worth checking out and something I plan to do eventually. I only have like 58 coins right now, and I need like 100 to unlock a new character. So I have to keep playing to get enough to get that. So.
This is great. Cool. Again, like I would really like a studio to invest. I mean, obviously it's going to take some effort, but to just make a Game Boy game like as epic and awesome as you can, I really hope that somebody doubles back and does that, because there's a lot there if you're going to put yourself in that art style, in the musical style. Like we're doing a lot of stuff with chiptunes coming up with Nintendo Village and stuff, so that's definitely something that speaks to a lot of us gamers, I think. So that's really cool. So I think you got a winner. Like I don't think we've done this before with $5 Holler, but we have been reviewing lately. What would you give it on a review scale? I know it's not really fair. We haven't done this with the smaller games.
For a $5 game, I would say it's like
if you're
it's a pretty polished
$5, then
yeah. I'd say honestly, for $5, you could do a lot worse than this game. So I'd say 4 out of 5 because for what it does, it's very polished and it has a lot of charm and stuff to it, and the music and graphics are really good for what they like the limit they set to themselves. And so yeah, I'd say a 4 out of 5 as far as like a $5 game goes.
We should try to figure out a $5 game of the year when we get toward awards.
That'd be cool. I could dig that.
So I'll go next, mostly because I have a very simple game to talk about. This game is called Darts Up. Darts Up is a Nintendo Switch port. This game had previously been on the Wii. I want to say it was the Wii or the Wii U. I have it here. It was created by Enjoy Up, and they've released certain hits like Gaia's Moon, Football Up, 99 Bullets, Christmas puzzle, 3, 2, 1 words up, and I spot Japan. So definitely comes from a pedigree there. So it was the Wii U. So Darts Up, again, is a translation of just darts on the Nintendo Switch. I recently reviewed a puzzle game, just a jigsaw puzzle game on the Switch, and I came away fairly impressed, because when you have these things, you're right away, your thought is it broken? You know, is this even going to work? And I want to say that it fails in the most basic aspects of what darts should be. They go for this motif, like this art style, basically, of like Wii Bowling or Wii Sports. Basically, you have like me type characters set up in this little pub arcade thing, and it just kind of, after you pick your game mode, kind of throws you up to the board, and you can like move around a little bit and like change your view, but you're mainly centered on the dartboard on the wall. And then the controls, which is the bread and butter. It's like, how are you going to throw a dart? Well, I'm glad you asked. So you just touch the control stick, and basically anyway, I don't remember there being a tutorial. It's so short. It's just like flick, or, you know, touch the right stick, and you press up. It has nothing to do with your momentum of how you're flicking it. You don't pull back and release, which is what I thought it was going to be. And you don't even have to just hit back. You seem to be able to tap left or right. So it's just one touch, and this dart just goes. Now the trick is where it's aimed. It uses the internal gyroscope of the Switch in order to adjust your view, which is also your aim. So you have a button to calibrate the Switch in your hand. So it says hit this button to calibrate. Bam. Once you do that, you're set, and now every movement you make with your wrist to move the handheld around is going to move your view slightly, and whenever you flick, that's where the dart's supposedly going to go. Now, this is all very interesting to, I'm sure, like kids who are listening, because I know we got a lot of young viewers. But darts is a game, kids, where I'm going to read from the wiki. Darts is a sport in which small missiles, torpedoes, or darts are thrown at a circular dartboard fixed to a wall. Through various boards and rules have been used in the past, the term darts usually now refers to a standardized game involving a specific board design and a set of rules. As well as being a professional and competitive game, darts is a traditional pub game commonly played in Britain and Ireland, across the Commonwealth, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Scandinavian countries, and the United States. So not that you should be there, but if you're ever in a bar, you'll see people doing various activities, and one of the less nefarious things is darts. So I play darts when I'm out and about. It seems like, again, an old school thing. I make fun of it because it's who really does that. But certain people, I'm sure, are out there at their local watering hole playing this thing. And it's fairly fun when you're there and you're playing with people throwing these darts at the board. You're trying to get the bullseye, which is at the center, for maximum points. And depending on your game, it'll kind of force you around the board to different point areas. So you're trying, aim is important when you're in real life. It's not easy to play darts, I don't believe, like for the average person. So now when you translate it to a video game, it's like, okay, is this going to be able to be in my control? The answer is no. In this game, you're adjusting your view, but you cannot see any reticle. It's just your eye kind of, okay, I think I'm looking down and to the left a little bit. Let me try to get into this small area. And then you flick that thing, and the first dart should give you some type of point of reference for, if I flick this again, I'll go in that same spot. Or, again, I'll adjust, and I just need to go up a little bit. Here's the rub. As soon as you throw a dart, your Switch resets. So it almost recalibrates itself. So you can't throw the first dart, use it as a anchor, and then adjust. So there's 4 game modes. Again, I think it's just like billiards or pool if you're playing that. There's infinite game types. For darts, I know for a fact that there are multiple games you could play. It's not just about getting it accurate in the center and getting bullseyes. You play competitively. There's single player you can play against yourself, etc. But there's 4 main games. Interestingly enough, The Switch version of this game does not show you anything about rules, doesn't explain anything about darts, doesn't explain much at all. Again, all there is to help you out is the button that says hold this to reveal, where it nudges you into saying, okay, hey, you can recalibrate and you can flick the dart like this. But other than that, there is no hand holding, there is no depth, there is no accuracy to the controls. You can play multiplayer locally, and I guess you're supposed to toss the Switch to someone and let them flick and all that, and it goes from player to player. You can select these god-awful Mii knockoff avatars. They're not even like Mii quality level. It's just complete trash. So
they look awful. They look so bad.
It's pretty dirt, but I'm not going to lie. I don't even recall if there's any music in this game. It's so dull. I will give it it kept my attention, oddly, because there was something cathartic about being able to get a bullseye, because all you have to do is calibrate, flick. In the game footage that I share, I will see how effortlessly you can get complete bullseyes. Interestingly, there is some physics involved where if you get a bullseye and you calibrate, or don't calibrate, just keep it steady, and you keep throwing bullseyes, one dart will hit another and bounce off the dart that's there because you're so perfect in your accuracy. It will fling off the board. It's like, nope, you can't do exact center. You better do something. So it kind of throws you off a little there. So that's Darts Up. It was like $2, $2.49, and I believe that it was on sale, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like 10% off or something weird. It's $2.99. I think I got it for like $2.49. It was incredible.
Sounds like you overpaid a little bit.
Yeah. I wouldn't really recommend this for anyone. Like if you're a darts fan, I think that would upset you even further.
Like you just play regular darts at that point. Like what's the point of a broken darts video game? You can just get a real board and get the full experience.
If they had just explained a little bit about the game rules, there is like some text on screen at certain points that show you how to get certain points, but it doesn't exactly explain that you're supposed to, for every dart you hit, your points actually go down and you're trying to reach 0. That's the aim of the game. So instead of like racking points up, for instance. So there's little things that could have made a big difference in the game. There's online leaderboards that worked one time and then they didn't work another. I just got an error. So you can see where you stack up against your friends. I was the only friend that had this game, so I'm at the top of the friend leaderboards. And that's pretty much it. If there's any questions, I'd be surprised. Anybody? Guys? Darts Up?
Yeah,
it's not a Game of the Year contender. I would have given it a score of, I would have given it like a star if they had explained the rules, honestly. There's hardly any celebration if you do well. There's no incentive. It's just there's zero effort in any animation, really, besides like a idle screen when you're about to start a game, and that's pretty much it. Buyer beware, Darts Up fans, potential buyers, avoid this one. Now, for something very exciting, just as a little lead-in, we're going to go to David next. David Jones, my illustrious co-host, and he played Oxenfree. What'd you think? What's going on there, David?
All right. First, I was going to also mention that this is on the $5 holler episode. You're probably a little confused because this is like normally like $20.
Yeah.
It is on sale right now, and I feel like I probably cheated a little bit by the games you had to play, and I got to play this magnificent indie title. So yeah, they said I could, so I did. Oxenfree, I have a hard time classifying this as a genre. It's kind of like some of those old PC point and click games, but it's not quite that complex because this one focuses almost entirely on conversation, dialogue, and very simplistic puzzles. It's not, and you can't die, so it's very relaxing and atmospheric. It almost feels like more like I won't want to say movie because it's so, artistic. It's not going to give you that cinematic experience, but it feels like you're along for a story. And it's sort of being told through these sort of beautiful 2D graphics that look I'm not sure if they were painted by hand or what, but they look very, very, very handcrafted, and they look just gorgeous. The basic plot, I don't want to get too much into it because this game is so focused on story, you can't talk too much about it because that's kind of the game. But it's three teenagers, Alex, Ren, and Jonas. Alex is the girl you probably see in a lot of the pictures, and you see her rocking around in the footage. Jonas, her new stepbrother, and her friend Ren. And they're just kind of going to this island for like a getaway. I can't remember the exact reason why they were going there, but they basically go to this island and they're going to meet up with a bunch of other friends there. And that's sort of like the lead-in to this kind of interesting adventure. I'll just say that if you like things like say Stranger Things, if you're a big fan of stuff like that, with kind of like group of kids gets involved in crazy shenanigans, with kind of like a little bit of that sort of 80s adventure vibe, and you just really want good dialogue, good story, and stuff like that, this is absolutely a game for you. The base gameplay, I would say, probably occurs in a couple different ways. Primarily, you'll be basically walking through a level. The whole time you're walking, the people with you will be like talking to you, and you'll get like these 3 different sort of dialogue bubbles will pop up around your character, and you'll be able to get like one of the corresponding face buttons on your controller to sort of pick which one. And you can sort. My understanding, I didn't get all the way to the end. I think I came pretty close. But my understanding is that these sort of dialogue choices you make throughout the game can impact your relationship with the other characters and can potentially affect the outcome. So it's kind of. I imagine it has probably some replay value through that. The other ways you have a radio, and you are able to, by turning to different channels in certain places, you're able to set off chains of events. I don't want to get too much into how that actually works, but by flipping through these channels, that's kind of sort of like the puzzle mechanic, and the rest is just kind of being aware of your environments, looking for prompts, and interacting with different things to move the story forward. And that's kind of it. It's kind of simplistic in a way, but it's also just very engrossing. And everything's very well done, and it's very professional.
I don't want to say it in a negative way, but when I played it, it was definitely something. There's just these brand of games that I just rather watch. So if there was just if it was just like a mini movie where I didn't have to go through the radio tuning, I really wouldn't mind because there's not too much there. Still give me the choices and be able to like affect the dialogue,
Right.
the branching story. But that's just my opinion of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, there's a lot going on here, and it's a really good game. The dialogue was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, and I think the interactive dialogue, to me, it really sort of draws you into the story more, because it's like, it's also amusing, so each one you hit is actually going to affect, how the conversation goes. And it makes you feel really involved, even though it's, so it's not just like you're watching a cutscene like some games are. You always feel involved, even when nothing's happening and you're just talking. And also, I said there was 3 options, but actually I think there's 4, because if you don't hit anything, eventually they'll go away, and then your character might react differently if you're not responding. So I guess in some ways there's almost 4 different options given.
I forgot about that. Yeah, there's some very nuanced things that happen with the game. If you're in close proximity with people who are speaking, I think they're like louder than when you walk away. So you can completely just like not have a conversation. It kind of draws you in and makes you, move along with people. It's very cool. If you had to give it a rating, what would you give it?
We're going out of 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, so an excellent game then. Okay.
I think it's a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to completing it. As I said, it's like a whole game built around conversation, which I think is a really cool idea, and then
Yeah.
sort of wrapped up in this sort of wrapper of like 80s kids go on an adventure, crazy things happen, movie type thing.
It's definitely critically acclaimed, so you wouldn't be the first person to like enjoy the game. I think for me it was an insight into how kids of a certain age are gonna interact, and a lot of games like story and dialogue kind of are mixed in with other things, whereas this is definitely at the forefront. It gave me a insight into like how kids would interact, because I never like went and like had this like there's some awkward stuff going on, and I think they really play that out pretty well. Some weird sexual tension or something with some of the characters. There's like jealousy and like it's amazing what comes through, and it's kind of like that cartoony art style, so there's a weird mix. Clay, you've played it, right?
Yeah, I got it on Xbox One and was really excited to play it. I saw a really good review about it, and so I was super stoked. It was something I was saving to play with my wife, and then I showed it to her, and she could care less. And so I was like, oh, bummer. And so I never got back into it after that. And then when I saw that it went on sale, Dave mentioned it was on sale. I was like, I'm gonna pick it up again because I do want to play through the rest of it, because I did like what I played, and I remember being really impressed with the dialogue. And so yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be a game where I'm gonna go when my wife falls asleep. I'm gonna go sit in bed with the lights off and put headphones on and play this game.
That's the way to do it too.
It's
Yeah,
so
I'm excited to do
atmospheric.
that.
We looked it up,
Yeah.
and it's 4 to 8 hours long, depending on if you're lagging around or just like kind of
Right.
rushing through it. So it comes highly recommended from all of us, I would say. So definitely check
Definitely.
it out. If you can get it on that sale, jump. So it's on everything. Obviously, it was actually given away for free in a Twitch Prime, which is how I got it on PC.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you see it out there, Oxenfree is just one of those things that you should play.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap up this episode of Switch Talk, $5 Holla, back again. We're going to be trying to point out these games that you can spend your hard-earned money on, and maybe pick something up when you want to play something a little bit smaller, a little bit niche, if you want to throw imaginary darts across the board. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. If you're listening, thank you. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you listen on iTunes, and keep in mind that there is an audio-only version available on iTunes. Check out the NintendoVillage.com for your home for everything Nintendo. Bye-bye.